Hi guys! If you're new to this channel, my name is Joslyn and welcome to Get Inspired Be Inspired. If you're a subscriber, welcome back to my channel. So this is the place for all faith-based motivation and personal growth for all my high achievers out there. I see you. My goal is to motivate you and inspire you to achieve your God-given goals and dreams and to live the life you truly love. So let's just jump right into today's video. So today's a very special day because I have a very special guest and it's my very own dad, Pst.Victor K.A Darteh. Welcome, Pa.
Thank you. Thank you, Jocelyn. I'm glad to be here, to be on your show. And I greet all your viewers. And, it's great to be here. I admire your work, all that you do, the content you put out there, and your enthusiasm is so infectious. And I just hope that many would watch it, take it on board, because I know it will inspire their lives and it will change their lives. So I'm happy to be here.
Pa, it's such a great honor to have you here. It means so much to me, honestly. I'm so glad to have you here because I mean, most people don't know, but most of the advice I actually share, there are things that you teach us in church. So for those who don't know Pst.Victor K.A Darteh, he's the senior leader of ELPIS Christian Ministries in London. So if you don't have a church in London, make sure to come and, visit us. I'm going to leave all links in the comment box below so that you can check out, our details and you can come and visit us. But actually, Pa, before we start, I just want to share with people, the reason why you are so special to me. I mean, one of the things that I love about you is the fact that whatever you do, you do it with excellence. And that's something I remember the first time I came to church, that's what I noticed. I noticed how much, attention to detail you have for every single thing you do and, your work when it comes to prayer, the word, you put in so much passion and it's something I've really taken on board. So thank you so much for that part. Also, another thing I love about you is the fact that when you see that someone has a talent, you always encourage them. And I know that probably people don't know this, but actually you were the one that, inspired me and helped me, start YouTube because initially I was doing my videos just on Instagram. So thank you for that encouragement and that push.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to hear this. I'm happy to hear this. Thank you very much.
Oh, Pa, I'm so honored. But actually, before we start our discussion, so today we are going to talk about what are those negative mindsets that some Christians have that hinder them from really experiencing the blessings of the Lord. But before we delve into, the topic and we unpick what those mindsets are, I wanted to ask you, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Best piece of advice. When you are living and you are growing, you hear all sorts of things, you read all sorts of materials, and a whole lot of ideas, begins to jam your mind. And now you must be in a place to be selective and choose which one would really navigate your life and get you where you want to go. And I realized that the best piece of advice that ever came to me came in two forms. So I'll share the two forms, One, that when I change, everything around me will change. When I change my mindset, the way I see life, the way I understand my perception, my vision. When I begin to change, I realized everything would change. So when I heard that piece of advice, and as a matter of fact, it wasn't through a one-on-one, it was through a book I read. And the guy said, when you change, everything will change. And I wanted everything to change. So that is the first one that really blessed my life. And I took it on board and I started to change a whole lot of things about me, my perception, my understanding, how I relate with people, how I talk, and all those things. Then the second one, which affected my life, the second piece of advice was anytime I want to do anything, or anytime you want to do anything, first sit down and try to find out what could possibly go wrong. And when you're able to identify what could possibly go wrong, then make sure as you embark on that journey or the project or the vision or the assignment, that you make sure that that particular thing never happens. So you safeguard those potential pitfalls and you make sure it doesn't happen. So these two advices, put together has really been a great blessing to me, and I still live with it and I'm still holding on to it. So these are the best, advice I would also give to anyone, that take these two things on board and never let it go.
Wow, that's amazing. Honestly, I love the fact that you were talking about, if you embarking on a project, look at what are the risks, ahead of you, and then find mitigation actions actually that can mitigate those risks. So that's amazing. And also about our mindset, how important it is that when we change our mindset, everything changes. And this actually leads us really nicely into the topic of today that we are going to discuss today. So I wanted to ask you, before we unpick what are those mindsets that hinder Christians from progressing, I wanted to ask you, why is our mindset important and how does it affect our life?
Well, the mind, you talk about the mind and the mindset. Now, the mind is part of the invisible part of us. Most of the time we really dwell on the things that we do see around us, the body. So we try to spend a lot of time on the body, making sure the body looks good, it looks well dressed, well presented, and all those things. But then there is a part of us that is not seen, and the mind is part of us that is not seen. And the mind affects what the body does. It affects where you take the body. It affects the decisions that you make, you take, that the body now responds to. So now, in the mind, we have three parts. All of us, tall, short, big, slim, whatever you are, wherever you were born, whatever situation you find yourself in, the mind is in three parts. First is your understanding. In the mind, you have your understanding. And the understanding you have about the aspect of life is going to affect how you make decisions. Because if you lack understanding on any matter, you would make the wrong decision. So, limited understanding will limit your life. So, one part of the mind is understanding. So, it's important everyone, both Christians, non Christians, you begin to get the right understanding. And when I talk about understanding in the mind, most times people try to understand things how they understand things. But then understanding has nothing to do with how you understand a thing, but rather how you are supposed to understand the subject. Then the other part in the mind is your knowledge, the information you have about the subject. So now, when you have the right information about the subject, it also affects your mind, it affects your decision making, it affects your future. Then, another aspect of the mind is your imagination. Now, your imagination, somebody said, is the preview of the future. So, if you have wrong imagination, then you see the future differently. When you have the right imagination, then you see the future properly. And that gives you what they call foresight. So the mind is so important that most people overlook the importance of the mind, and they don't feed the mind, they don't train the mind, they don't prepare the mind. And as you look at the three aspects of the mind I've talked about, you realize that it called for, time, investment, to be able to feed the mind, so your understanding, the knowledge, and the imagination is worked on for the future, for your decisions, and all these things. So it's very important. Then you talk about the mindset. All the three I've talked about, Joslyn, imagine concrete. You've mixed your concrete, you want to do a project, you want to build something, and you mix your concrete and you pour it wherever you want to pour it into. Then you wait for it to set. So, all the three I've mentioned, when you allow time, when you allow events, situations, then these three mindset, whether positive or negative, is now certain. It's now certain. And as you grow, the mind is certain in either the right path or the wrong path. And as you grow, then you have your mindset based on your understanding, based on your information or knowledge, and based on your imagination. Then your mind is set on a matter. So it becomes important that we evolve, we train, we learn, and also unlearn so that we get the right mind and for the mind to set properly and we have our lives ahead of us.
Wow. I mean, you touch upon so many things, but one of the things I wanted to come back to is, you were talking about our imagination and the fact that if we have the wrong imagination, then when we're implementing something, it's going to be wrong because we don't have the right understanding. And because we don't have the right understanding, also we don't have the right imagination. So I wanted to ask you, what are then those mindsets that hinder Christians? And what can we do to unlearn them?
Christians, imagine when somebody wants to be a doctor, the person would take, I think, about 7 years to learn the trade. Somebody wants to be a lawyer, would take, I think, 5 years or so, I'm not too sure, to learn the trade. We learn the law of the nation, law, understand the law, how to interpret it, how to apply the law. So the lawyer will have to go to school, learn the laws to become effective and proper lawyer, just like an accountant. So these fields are called discipline profession. You see, so a lawyer is a disciplined, meaning he's been trained in the field. Then Jesus told the disciples that go and disciple, discipline, train, educate, raise. But then when most people become Christians, they don't allow themselves to be trained, to be disciplined, so they can know the laws and the principles of the kingdom. And because of this, most Christians just, hear one sermon here, hear one clip there, and they begin to join it together and they begin to form their mindset about the subject or about Christianity. So most Christians have this mindset that God will do it. And they believe it is good. Yes, God will do it. But then they don't find out what is my responsibility in the matter? Or if God is going to do it, how is He going to do it? So they don't know much about the principles of the kingdom, how to apply those principles, and what they need to do to bring God on the scene. Then there is this mindset that most Christians have that I just have to believe God. I'm waiting on the Lord. And whilst you are believing God, there's nothing wrong with believing the Lord. There's nothing wrong with waiting on the Lord. But then you've got to understand, I'm believing God. What does that mean? I'm waiting on the Lord. What does that mean? Because when you are believing the Lord, it's a two-way street. You believe the promise and also put action to the promise. You believe the word of the Lord and you also apply the word of the Lord in your life. Then, when you are waiting on the Lord, you also must know that waiting is always a preparation. When you are waiting on the Lord, you are being prepared. The Lord is training you. He's working on something through you. So you just can't be there and say that, oh, I'm waiting on the Lord, for God to do X, Y, Z. But then what are you doing in the waiting period? So there are so many mindsets about, the kingdom that Christians have got it wrong. One other mindset is that most Christians think that because they are simply Christians, they are going to prosper. And I believe you've come across such thinking as well. And they ask questions like, "Oh, why am I not prospering? I'm a Christian and the unbeliever is prospering and I'm not prospering. Why is this so?" But then the fact that you're a Christian does not promise you prosperity. We've got to learn, how can I prosper? Because there are laws, there are rules that each one need to understand about prosperity. Something like discipline, hard work, determination, persistence. All these things are ingredients that goes into prosperity. How to manage money, the little money that comes to you, how to manage it, how to stay away from credit cards. There are Christians who are taking on credit cards here and there, loans here and there, overdraft here and there. They are not managing their monies. They don't know their income. They don't know the outgoing. So many confusion, and they still want to prosper. So that is a wrong mindset. We need to understand how God works because God works in two ways. We need to understand the sovereignty of God and the human responsibility in what God says He will do. Because God won't take the whole picture and leave us without doing anything. So it takes two, like they say, it takes two to tango. Let me tell you, a story I read, and I've used it a lot, but let me share it on Get Inspired and Be Inspired.
We are all ears, Pa.
Yeah, there's a story about this beautiful garden that this gardener cultivated. He built this nice garden, the plants, the flowers were flowing, such a beautiful garden. And one day, tourists came around to see, to, observe, take pictures, videos, and all those things. And one tourist or visitor made a comment. He said, "Wow, look at nature. Look at what nature has done." Then the gardener overheard that comment and said, "You should have seen when nature had this all by himself," which means the gardener had input into the beauty. He took what nature provided and add his human touch to it, and now it's beautiful. And that is Christianity. That's how to walk with the Lord and to be blessed.
I love that example, and what you were saying about the fact that we also have a responsibility. So yes, God can do it, but we also have to take practical steps as well. Because I remember, especially when I was in Italy, some people would say things like, "Oh, God will provide," but they wouldn't do anything. And they were like simple things like learning the language, for example, because just by having understanding the language, being able to communicate, then you're able to negotiate, you're able to do so many things, and also you're able to have access to different benefits because you understand. So things like that. So honestly blown away by all this knowledge and the fact that we also have a responsibility. So we also have to play our role as well. So it's not just leaving everything to God. So thank you so much for these tips. I wanted to ask you as well, I mean, what are some of the practical things that we can do? I mean, you've touched on a few, like we have to unlearn certain habits, but is there maybe books to read or anything that you think will be helpful for people?
One, what we can do to help us, books to read, you know, one of the things that we can all do is to watch the company we keep. The company we keep has such great influence on us, we don't even realize. I read that the company you keep, the friends you keep, the association you have has great reflection on your earning, your income, because iron will sharpen iron. And again, the Bible says that when you walk with the wise, you become wise. And the opposite is also true. When you walk with fools, you become foolish. You see, and so one, check your company, check your friends, check who you hang with, check the association that you keep. And I believe that in life, everyone should have three levels of relationship. I always share these three levels of relationship. You should have your co-equals, those that you share things in common with, the information that you have, your level of friendship, co-equals. Then you should have those above you, people that you take inspiration from, you take words of advice from, you take mentoring from, so you can share with your colleagues, and also those below you, so that what you receive from above you, you share with your friends, your colleagues. You can also mentor somebody and they look up to you, and because they look up to you, you are challenged to live a life so they can also be impressed and they can also keep receiving, hearing from you. So your company, the level of relationship, and also to have a mentor in your life. To have a mentor in your life, when you talk about mentoring, people think about friendship, but a mentor is not your friend. A mentor doesn't have to be somebody you even like. A mentor is somebody who is going to take you to a place you have not been, you couldn't go by yourself, and because he is there, he's able to hold your hand and take you there. And a mentor is not necessarily someone that you even know. Books can mentor you. You can read books about people who have done what you want to do, and just by reading the book, you get inspired, you learn, you change your thinking, your mindset, your approach, and it's mentoring. I recommend books like, biographies of people. So look out for what you want to do, the field that you want to aspire or grow in, and get somebody who has achieved that particular thing, how they got there, the journey of the person. Because, Joslyn, life is all about principles and laws. So when you read that person's book, you realize that maybe it was through persistence. Things were stuck against the person, and the person persisted, kept going. So from that book, you learn persistence. Then you apply that to your life. So get a mentor, get someone who has done what you want to do, and learn from them. There was this book or this guy I fell in love with, and I made sure I got all his books. This is about 20 something years ago. Every book, Joslyn, available, I made sure I had it. Videos, CDs. Now, CDs is not very popular anymore. Yeah. I made sure, Joslyn, I had each of his stuff. And I would listen over and over and over, because to change your mindset, you've got to hear a thing over and over. And the principle about changing mindset is repetition, like they say, is the mother of learning. So you've got to hear it, hear it, hear it, hear it, hear it, hear it. And the other way of working on the mindset is to read books that will challenge your thinking. To read books that will challenge your thinking. So if you want books that I can recommend, it's got to be in the particular field the person wants to grow in. So if the person wants to grow financially, then get books in that field that would change your financial mindset. If the person wants to grow in their marriage, get books that would challenge your marital relationship with your spouse. If the person wants to grow in their career, get books that would challenge you in your career, that would change your mindset. So it depends the area the person wants to change or grow in, and look for those books. And we are blessed to have internet. Google, Prophet Google. Things are there that will be a blessing. Amen.
Amen. I mean, it's been amazing, honestly. And I definitely can vouch for, having a mentor because I remember like 2 years ago, I got a mentor at work, and that's really helped me like progress quicker than when, I started off just by having someone, to guide me. So definitely, I always encourage people to have a mentor as well. So that's been so great, Pa. Thank you so much. Um,
It's gone so quick.
yeah. But Pat, before we leave, I mean, people might want to hear, more about, what you do, the ministry, you have a podcast, you also, LP has an Instagram account. So are you able to, give us those details so that people can come and, look for you if they want to?
Okay, that's very kind of you. I'm a pastor, a teacher of the word, and the Lord's blessing has been on us as we've been ministering over these years, and we meet at Sutherland House, 43 Sutherland Road, E17 6BU. It's around Walthamstow, East London. And you can find us also on YouTube, ELPIS TV, Instagram, elpis.london, Facebook, elpis.london, and also our website, www.elpischristianministries.co.uk. And as Joslyn said, we've got our church app. It's brilliant. It's very informative. A lot of teaching, sermons. There's a site I love really well. The tales of a wise man. Daily encouragement. Snippets. Very very encouraging. And the app is on both iOS and Android. So find it, download it. It will be a blessing to you, and you will get instant notifications of our services and what is happening in our church. And God bless you for having me, tuning in and listening to this great segment.
Oh, thank you so much, but thank you for being here. Honestly, it's an honor. And I also make sure to put all the details in the comment below. So please do check the comment box below. Thank you so much, Pa. It's been great. I've learned so much. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, get inspired, be inspired. Mwah. Bye.